Here we go, episode 4.
Yeah.
All wrongs reserved talk time.
Yes, sir. It's talk time.
Keeping them voices up, keeping people awake.
Yep.
That's what we do.
Taking that time to talk.
Yeah, so episode 4, we told the people last time, the episode we did, episode 3, was about diss tracks, right?
Yep.
And we purposefully left out East Coast versus West Coast diss tracks on purpose because we could go on about that for days.
Oh my God, on and on.
Now, we're not going to do every single East versus West Coast diss track there is in existence.
We'd be here all day.
Right. But we are going to cover some that we find particularly entertaining and pivotal. I think might even be another word.
Yeah.
Pivotal.
Yep.
In the East versus West beef. So I think to start it off, what did we decide we were going to open it up with? What was our first 2 tracks we had in mind here?
Well, the first 2 tracks we had in mind, not sure if a whole lot of people know, but contrary to popular belief, the East Coast West Coast beef actually gotta take it back to 1991. I'm talking Dogg. Fuck Compton.
And do notice that Dogg is mentioned on so many tracks throughout diss tracking, especially from the West.
Yeah.
And I only know his name from Snoop Dogg mentioning it on
right.
Fuck with Dre Day.
Yeah, Fuck with Dre Day.
And other track, Fuck Dogg. Fuck. I'm like, who's Dogg? I don't know.
Right.
So they kind of made each other famous. But our first track was, what was it? I believe it was Fuck Compton.
Yeah, it was.
So here, we're going to give you just a first, 10-15 minute snippet, and then we'll do some more in review throughout. But here's the first 15 seconds we want to talk about. Dogg, Fuck Compton.
Oh shit, motherfucker, step to the ranch here, cause Dogg is here. Let's get right down to the nitty gritty and talk about a bullshit city. Talking about niggas from Compton, they're no comp and they truly ain't stomping. Dogg, a black man's tag, I'm so bad I whip Superman's ass.
So, just start in the video, the first thing I notice is Dogg coming in so hard and making it very clear that his vitriol is towards an entire coast, and that he's so hard that he'll whoop Superman's ass.
Yep.
What else do you take from our little snippet we're sharing here? I mean, we got more, but
I mean, the fact that he kicks off the video with the easy look-alike, the Dre, DJ Quik in there too in the car in the beginning, and they get snatched up.
That's true. He almost copies the look of real motherfucking G's.
Oh yeah.
And how Easy tried to use a fake Easy in that, which I think might have been a partial response to this.
Yeah.
So it's funny though that theme of making Easy look like a woman, like a little woman. Mm-hmm. But he does kick it off straight with saying he'll whoop Superman's ass.
Yeah.
So kind of keeping it comical.
Oh, definitely.
But also hard hitting. Let's check out another little clip from that shit. Dogg, Fuck Compton.
Fuck Compton.
Dre, beating on D from Pump It Up. Step to the dog and get fucked up. I'm simplistic, imperialistic, idealistic, and I'm kicking up ballistics. Having that gang war, we want to know what you're fighting for.
Well, Dogg makes it very clear. He's going straight at all of the West Coast, but it is funny to me how he says he's cool with Ice-T, fuck Ice Cube, but I'm cool with Ice-T, or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's very, to me, the most noticeable thing is that it's clearly aimed at Ruthless Records and Eazy-E.
Oh yeah.
Which tells me he sees them as the king of the West Coast.
Definitely.
Right? Because you're not going to go at anything less than the king's head.
Absolutely.
You're not going to
go at the top.
Yeah, you ain't going to go at pawns and peons and other things. You're going to go at the king or the queen at the very least. Which he also does there in the second verse. Please talk about that a little bit. And then we'll show it after you talk about it here a little bit.
Oh, man.
Who he mentions.
So, this second verse is great because he really takes time to go in at Dr. Dre and mentioning the incident with D Barnes where, they have the whole smacking her up incident. And then...
Yeah, Dre was accused of beating up D Barnes by slapping her and maybe some punches as well.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't know who D Barnes is, learn about the 90s, look her up. D Barnes, he slapped the shit out of him.
Oh yeah.
Take it away.
And then on top of that, Tim Dog does an excellent job at talking about Dre's girlfriend at the time, Ruthless Records singer Michelet, who was on Eazy-E's record label. Eazy-E's record label, Rufus. She was on there. And Tim Dog does a great job of pretty much talking how he'd fuck her, and neither of us can really top how Tim Dog executes that, but...
No, he does kind of like an impression of her in his own voice, like, oh yeah, I'm awesome. And little snippets of her, and goes ahead and, I think the ideas in this song is to go with the thing that's going to be the most insulting.
Oh, of course.
And going for a guy's woman is often a way to kick that off, right?
Especially talking, singing as Tim Dog's, fucking her. That's pretty much...
Yeah. Let's give you a little bit of snippet of that here.
You guys
it's
will enjoy
hilarious.
that.
They go riding a sleigh. I'm so large, I fuck Michelet in the bathroom. We was boning. You should have heard how the bitch was moaning. Shut the fuck up, bitch. You can't sing. You sound like a kid playing on the swing.
So, the part that sticks out to me in that is how he... You sound like a bitch on the swing, or you sound like a kid on the swing,
yeah,
or whatever the exact lyric. You sound like a kid on the swing.
And then the little fuck you,
yeah, fuck you in the background.
Such a nice touch.
Him doing the girlish ass voice.
Yeah,
you sound like a little kid on the swing.
Fuck you.
I'm the man at hand to run the band that's in command. You know who the fuck I am. Tim Dog. What's my motherfucking name? Tim Dog. That's my motherfucking game. So whether you think that I'm just the myth, the rip, the lift, the gift, the if, the fifth, the shift, the split, that's in control, the whole, the fold, the bowl, and make it, take it, fake.
Alright, so now, if you will, I think you could call it a response.
Oh, very much.
Less than a year later, about a year later.
Yeah, about a year later, we had Dre and Snoop Dogg. Obviously, we talked about this one on the last video, Fuck with Dre Day by Dr. Dre and Snoop. But, in that second verse, Snoop Dogg takes a diss at Tim Dog.
Yeah, he basically fires back at him. It seems like it took a lot for Tim Dog to even get their attention.
Oh my god.
And at that time, Death Row Records was new and upcoming, yet on top of the world at the same time.
Right.
Which you rarely see with companies where they're new but also on top of the world.
Mm-hmm.
Usually you have new and then on top of the world is somewhere in between.
Yeah.
But when Fuck with Dre Day came out, and subsequently the album The Chronic, it was multi-platinum, worldwide, almost instantaneously.
Oh yeah.
And I wouldn't call Fuck with Dre Day a diss on the East Coast. It's that verse we're talking about.
Yeah. Because
this is Easy a whole bunch too. It's probably mostly an Easy diss track.
Yeah.
However,
mostly.
Tim Dog's verse, number 2, which is by Snoop, I believe, right?
Yep.
On this track here, we're gonna play a snippet of that quick, and then we'll get back to you.
And just real quick, the fact that you mentioned, again, it took a lot from Tim Dog to even get a response from Snoop, because not only did Tim Dog had fuck Compton, but he had Step to Me on that same album, Penicillin on Wax, and the fucking skit where he's beating up DJ Quik. So it took 2 songs and a skit to get even one response.
Yeah, it seemed to take a lot to get their attention.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Once he did, though, we'll play this. We'll play a little couple excerpts here from Snoop's verse that we find quite funny. He says a lot in very few words.
Oh,
that's the best way to put it, right?
Yeah.
Well, here it is. Kapow.
Well, here's the Jimmy joke about your mama that you might not like. I heard she was a Frisco dyke, but fuck your mama. I'm talking about you and me, toe to toe. M-U-T, your bark was loud, but your bite wasn't vicious. And the rhymes you were kicking were quite bootylicious.
So, you go ahead, pull up the music video for yourself, listen to the whole thing. But my favorite little excerpt from that verse by Snoop Dogg was, your bark was loud, but your bite wasn't vicious. And those rhymes he was kicking was quite bootylicious. It's really, I think you and I both agree that the best diss tracks usually have humor.
Oh yeah.
They're in a way really funny.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, it's men writing poetry about each other.
Oh,
right?
of course.
That's what diss tracks are. But that right there is a perfect example of, I think, hitting the nail on the head in very few words.
Oh, definitely. And the music video itself, and again, you guys will see it in the clip, but the music video itself, especially when he's talking about his mom and looking like a disco dyke, like the attire they have, the mom figure wearing, it's all hilarious. The bright orange pants and the dreads, it's just a hilarious
and your
sight.
mama, I heard she was a disco dyke.
Yeah.
And fuck your mama, I'm talking about you and me, toe to toe. Yeah, it's I think that with this one fell swoop in verse, they basically cleaned out Tim Dogg of any relevancy, at least on a beef level in rap.
Yeah.
Both are very great songs, worth listening to, worth anyone's playlist that loves old school hip hop. But I mean, you can disagree with me if you want, but I gotta give it to the West Coast there. I mean, on Snoop's verse alone here.
Oh yeah, and two, it's telling because it took Tim Dogg 2 years to even have a response. His response to Snoop's one verse was Dog Baby, and from my listen to it a few times now, it is very lower in quality compared to Fuck Compton.
Tim Dogg's bars are, you can tell, he's limited to one flow in one tone.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't strike me as a guy who can switch it up on mid-verse, and, you know, he doesn't seem like a guy he's very orthodox, I think would be the right word to use.
Yeah, he very much has that flow like the rapper on I Got the Power by Snap. It's a very similar flow, that militant flow with only one style. Yeah.
And I'm gonna tell it to you all the while.
Yeah, it's very much like that.
Definitely
so while it's great from Tim Dogg, Snoop, whoosh, with that one verse.
Let us give him another little clip here from that verse, because it is quite funny.
Yeah.
And then we will be on to the next one. A little bit more Snoop Dogg for you.
You get what doggy dog, oh, is he crazy? With your mama and your daddy hollering, baby. So what that lets you know? That if you fuck with Drake, nigga, you fucking with Death Row. And I ain't even swinging them things, I'm hollering 187 with my dick in your mouth, bitch.
Next up, we have
Who Shot Ya? By Notorious B.I.G.
Biggie Smalls, baby.
Biggie Smalls is the illest.
Getting into that Biggie Smalls, Tupac, West Coast, East Coast, heart and soul of beef.
Yeah, man, the heart and soul.
Heart and soul of beef. But no, Who Shot Ya is controversial, but I'll let you talk about the song first. You go ahead and give him a little bit of intro to Who Shot Ya, we'll play a little and we'll talk more about it.
Yeah. So with Who Shot Ya, the big premise of that goes back to the shooting at the Quad Studios. I believe that was in Manhattan. You know, Tupac was rolling up for a session there. You know, he was going in with his crew, said what up to Biggie and them, and then robbery goes down and Tupac and a few of his guys get shot. So Tupac is in the hospital.
Yeah, I was gonna say, wasn't he was visiting the studio?
Yeah,
potential recording.
Yeah, he was going to record.
And then he got in the elevator with his boys, and didn't he get shot coming out of the elevator? Like when it opened at the ground level or something? Like that?
Yeah, I was at the ground level.
Yeah. So he's basically in, you know, a metal box. He can't, you know, shooting fish in a barrel, whoever was shooting him.
Yeah.
I think he got plugged a good 3-4 times, didn't he?
Yeah, 4 or 5.
Yeah. Quite amazing he didn't die right then and there.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, right? So again, though, Who Shot Ya?
So
when did that come out then? It was shortly after the shooting.
Not a few months after, actually. The Quad Studio shooting was November 30th, 1994, and then Who Shot Ya officially released February 95, so it was still relatively fresh.
You know what's interesting too about Who Shot Ya, is at the time Pac was in prison or jail.
Yeah, for that groping shit.
Yep, when he was in jail on some bullshit, when Who Shot Ya came out.
Yep.
And he was immediately convinced that it was about him. I mean, why wouldn't he?
Right.
Here, we'll pose it to you as a question like this. If you're Tupac and you just got shot at the studio Biggie records at, you're in prison just after healing up from your gunshot wounds or whatever, just a couple months later, and this song, Who Shot Ya, comes out, wouldn't you probably think it was about you and rubbing it in your face a little bit? I mean, you let us know.
Yeah,
here's a little snippet of it.
Who shot ya? Separate the weak from the opsa. Leap hard to creep them Brooklyn streets. It's on, nigga. Fuck all that bickering beef. I can hear sweat trickling down your cheek.
So right out the gate, I feel like Biggie Smalls. I mean, he says it wasn't about Tupac. That it was coincidence. You feel that way. I feel otherwise. I feel that was very intentional.
Yeah.
I can't imagine releasing a song like that. And remember, Pac and Biggie at that time were friends.
Oh yeah, they were dope.
They were
very
tight
close.
as could be.
Yeah.
And right after he gets shot, leaving his studio, he releases this just, really weeks, later, while Pac's in prison. If it's not directed at him, the intent of the release sure as fuck is. So I don't, but I know he feels differently. He feels it is not aimed at Tupac.
Well, because Biggie also had other beefs at that time. Like, on Kicking the Door, he was coming at Jerry the Damager, Raekwon, a few other cats in Wu-Tang, ironically, while Method Man was on Ready to Die. So I feel like it wasn't
Ready
intended
to Die by
Biggie, of course, which was on the Who Shot Ya was on the remaster of Ready to Die. So I feel like, at the time, Biggie had other beefs as well that weren't just Pac.
Here's
So
a question though: did any of those guys, any of those beefs, did any of them get shot recently? Before that came out?
Not that I can recall.
I'll rest my case. That's why. I mean, that doesn't make it concrete. We'll never know. They're both dead,
Right.
and there is no scripture on this stuff. That's why it's all subjective. But I feel like, I hear you. He had tons of beefs. And Pac certainly did as well.
Yeah,
But no one else got shot, and it's rather specific, as even from the opening bars that we just played there.
I mean, the only other reason why I feel like it's not intended for Pac, I mean, Biggie, especially on his Ready to Die album, constantly talked about bringing out the guns for beef. Biggie's song Warning on Ready to Die.
Well, that did happen, though, didn't it? They both died by way of gunfire.
They did, but, Biggie was very, very known for talking about bringing out the guns, kicking the dough, bring out the guns if somebody mess with him. So, it's not crazy to think that Who Shot Ya was kind of a hypothetical instead of a Pac.
I guess I could agree with you in the sense of this. I think Biggie was far more of a storyteller than he was a gangster.
Oh, yeah.
And I think Pac was far more of a gangster who was also a good storyteller.
Right.
Does that make sense?
It does.
I'm not calling Biggie fake.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he wasn't about shit. I'm just saying he was much more of a storyteller and an entertainer.
Right.
As to where Pac was a storyteller and entertainer, but he also was those things.
Oh, for sure.
Again, not calling Biggie fake, just more of the, in our world, like Violent J, very much a storyteller.
Yeah.
And Pac was a storyteller, I guess maybe a little bit more through his eyes, is the way I would say it.
Right. No, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna drop another little clip of Who Shot Ya here, and you can decide for yourself if this was personally aimed at Tupac. I think it probably was, at least by the time it got released. When it was written, I don't know. He and I kind of beg to differ, but we can see each other's opinions.
Absolutely.
Here's another little clip we found in the song that we think you might like. Kapow!
Big Papa smash fools, bash fools, niggas mad because I know the cash rules. Everything around me, 2 Glock 9s. Any motherfucker whispering about mine. And Brooklyn's finest. You rewind this, bad boys behind.
Alright, so now that we close Biggie's Who Shot Ya out, we get we get Tupac.
Oh, man.
We get Tupac. The track, please, sir. Name and information.
We've got Hit 'Em Up from Tupac from 96.
Yeah, 1996.
Yep.
And this track, to me, I think when it comes to, at the very least, East Coast, West Coast diss tracks, it's the king.
Oh, yeah. Everybody talks about it.
It's the king. I think as far as diss tracks go, it's in everyone's top 5.
Oh, easily.
Easily.
Yeah.
So, it's funny, he starts off right away making no bones about it. I fucked your bitch, you fat motherfucker.
Get money. Westside.
Yeah, I wonder who he could be talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I wonder who. That's like me sitting here and saying, you black, fat, I wonder who he's talking about. Or you ashy skinny white motherfucker. You know, wonder who he's talking about.
Exactly.
It's very clear from the jump that Tupac is, and I think he goes in within the first 15, 20 seconds of fuck Bad Boy Records too.
Oh, pretty much.
I took it as he took Who Shot You personally.
Oh, very much so.
You know, like you had mentioned in some of the snippet we showed, Who Shot You could have been very well aimed at completely other targets.
Absolutely.
And been coincidental. But it is very clear Tupac didn't take it that way.
Yeah, no.
At all.
And to top it off, like around the time, like several months before Hit 'Em Up by Tupac came out, you know, Tupac, he was hanging with Faith Evans, and the media really spun that as to Faith Evans, Biggie's girlfriend at the time, that Faith Evans was having an affair with Tupac, sleeping with him, and, you know, at first Tupac wasn't really running with that, but then as Hit 'Em Up kind of got into development, Tupac...
Well, hold on a second now. Before we get into that, though, let's not forget how he got out of prison. Signing
yes.
to Death Row.
Yep, because Suge bailed him out.
He signed to Death Row Records, and Suge Knight put up, I think it was almost $1 million, if not $1 million.
Yeah,
it was an astronomical amount of money.
Yeah.
To get Pac out under the condition that he signed to Death Row Records.
Yeah.
So he got a guy fresh out of prison, tons of raps written in prison, ready to go, with a target in mind. I mean, Suge Knight, he's not exactly the nicest of characters that you could find in the world, but he got Tupac out like, get him money. That was entirely the premise of paying for Tupac's bail and all that.
Right.
And which was, like we said, 7 figures plus.
Right.
So it's quite, just behind this song, there's a lot of animosity already built up from a guy inside of a cage.
Oh yeah, and on top of that, even several months prior, taking it back to the 1995 Source Awards when Suge got the award for Best Soundtrack, I think, Above the Rim. And, you know, Suge came with a very notable speech that everyone knows. He accepted his award and he took a shot at Bad Boy. We'll play the clip after this as well, but Suge came with something a little bit like this. And to all you out there who don't want to be on the record labels, which executive producer, all up in the videos, dancing, come to Death Row.
Come to Death Row Records. Yeah, so you know we'll play it. Let's give it to him. Let's just give him the acceptance speech first.
Oh
and we'll get back to the song.
Yeah.
Acceptance speech.
Any artist out there want to be an artist and want to stay a star, and don't want to have to worry about the executive producer trying to be all in the videos, all on the record, dancing. Come to Death Row.
First off, fuck your bitch in the clique you claim. Westside, when we ride, come equipped with game. You claim to be a player, but I fucked your wife. We bust on bad boys, niggas fuck for life. Plus, Puffy tryna see me weak, hearts I rip. Biggie Smalls and Junior Mafia, some mark-ass bitches.
Oh, and we're back.
Man, Tupac didn't waste anything with this song, man. Like, not only just going at Biggie for the obvious weight, but he also goes at Lil C's of Biggie's crew, Junior Mafia, and Lil Kim, the first lady of Bad Boy Entertainment, Puff Daddy's label.
Yeah, snatching her wig off in the video.
Taking her off the street.
Well, I think it's pretty clear, you know, we may disagree on whether Who Shot You was aimed at Tupac, but the one thing there's no argument on is whether Tupac took it personally.
Oh, yeah.
Which we'll play a quick clip of that here.
Bad boy murdered on wax and kill. Fuck with me and get your caps peeled. You know, see, grab your blocks when you see Tupac. Call the cops when you see Tupac. Who shot me, but your pumps didn't finish. Now you're about to feel the wrath of a menace. Nigga, I hit him up.
You know, he clearly took it personally, and you know, some might say used it as an excuse to maybe kind of say what he'd been wanting to say for a long time.
Right.
But at the end of the day, what you're left with is a lot of back and forth between the two. On a track on Wax, Tupac wins the East Coast West Coast battle. With that alone, No, I wouldn't say entirely, but at the time, I think it probably felt like that to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And, you know, unfortunately, both of them succumbed to violence from the inside, most likely, both of them. We don't know for sure, but what we do know is Tupac is not living in Cuba. He's fucking dead.
Yeah.
Biggie Smalls is not living anywhere but in an urn, I believe.
Yeah.
So, ashes to ashes, dust to dust.
Yeah.
For both of them. So it really is too bad. But we like to focus on the entertaining part that you get within hip-hop beefs. And the East Coast, West Coast gives you nothing but entertainment.
And lots of it.
Yeah. So, what do we have for our next two, sir? I think I know, but I want you to pull it up and our notes on the two.
We got, taking it back to a little Ice Cube, we got
some Ice Cube.
That we do. But not just Ice Cube. He brought some two dope MCs with him. Brought Mack 1-0.
Mack 1-0. Mack 10, baby.
And Dub C.
And the Dub C. No mistaking his voice. He's a voice you just cannot mistake.
Oh, yeah.
Dub C. Like we were saying, Westside Connection versus Common Sense, as he was known at the time.
Yeah.
Now commonly known as Common.
That's right.
Now, a lot of true hip-hop heads may know that Common Sense, Common, is from Chicago, so you can't really be East Coast versus West Coast.
Right.
At least you would think. But the reason we're including it is because he so clearly sided with the East Coast.
Oh, very much.
He so clearly backed the East Coast sound, his rhyme schemes, the people he did features with.
Yeah.
So while he's born in Chicago, both he and I think any major listeners of hip-hop that are aware of coast beefs, you would consider Common an East Coast player.
Yeah, and an interesting thing to note, too, about both the original version of The Bitch In Yoo by Common and
the Bitch In Yoo. What year was The Bitch In Yoo?
I want to say that was 95.
Was that before Westside Connection? Which one was first?
Westside Slaughterhouse was first because it was on Mack 10's self-titled album.
Yeah, debut album Mack 10.
Yep. Yeah,
okay.
So self-titled album Mack 10 in 95. So The Bitch In Yoo, I believe, came out a few months after that.
Okay, but before Westside Connection did To All the Critics in New York, right? That's 96.
Yep, that's 96.
Okay.
The interesting thing to note about Common's this, so, of course, him being from Chicago, you know, not taking sides, but the fun fact about both the original version and the, version we know it to be the, more mainstream one, both versions are produced by East Coast producers. The original being produced by Havoc from Mobb Deep, and the Common one the Common one we all know to be that we're covering is produced by Pete Rock. So, essentially, Common did kind of take a side because both producers are from the East Coast.
You can tell what he's doing from the jump. And what we'll do here real quick is we'll include a little excerpt from Mack 10's debut out of the West Coast Slaughterhouse song.
Yeah, Westside Slaughterhouse,
excuse me. And then we'll do a little short clip of The Bitch In Yoo, and then we'll go on from there. So here you'll get two little clips from there, and then we'll discuss them.
All you suckers wanna diss the Pacific, but you buster niggas never get specific. Used to love her, mad cause we fucked her, pussy whip bitch with no common sense. Hip hop started in the West, Ice Cube bailing through the East without a vest.
Went from gangsta to Islam to the Dick Das effects. It'll take the nation and millions to hold me back from giving you mouth shots or hit with the pipe that Ralph got. Chris Sucker ain't around, it's your Friday, it was good. I wasn't salty, she was with the boys in the hood. I see the bitch hit.
Both are fantastic. I think that Westside Slaughterhouse, that track on Mack 10's album, and the video is amazing, especially considering 1995 and someone's debut album.
Oh my god, yeah.
That song is a lot less particular compared to some of the, hit 'em up, some of the lyrics and hit 'em up. Some of the lyrics we're about to get into.
Yeah.
It's a lot less, I guess, direct. But if you listen to East Coast and West Coast hip hop, you certainly will pick up on plenty of the things that, are within that song, and a couple of the things within the clip we just showed. But then you have the Bitch In Yoo, which we gave you a couple clips of, and it's very clear he's trying to sound East Coast to me.
Yeah.
He's trying to play the enemy.
Yeah.
Right? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. He gets into some of that with his lyrics as well.
Yeah.
Upping enemies of Ice Cube, Ice Cube and stuff like that.
And even touching on how Ice Cube went from like gangsta to like actor, even talking about Chris Tucker and Friday. Like,
yeah, that's right. We'll include that, the Chris Tucker line. It's when he first started getting into the movies, which honestly now that's what he's known for more than rapping, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So we hit you with those, we hit you with one more, and then I think what do we got there from there? We have Westside Connection's official response, 1996, right?
That's right, October 96, All the Critics in New York.
All the Critics in New York, which is on, and I actually happen to have it right here.
Yeah.
Which is on Westside Connection's debut album, Bow Down.
When we come to your town.
To All the Critics in New York. So we're going to play a little quick snippet of that, and then we'll give you some more thoughts on this. It is superior.
Back in the day, we used to respect y'all niggas. We used to be down with y'all niggas. All y'all have for the West Coast is criticism and disrespect. So I say to you in your city, y'all niggas will never get our respect again. Westside, nigga.
So right there, you hear out of the gate Westside Connection's making it very clear that this song is dedicated to the entire East Coast.
Yes.
A lot of the gloves and raps have been taken off.
Oh, very
No more
much.
Soft punches, undertones.
Yeah.
Just straight up, oh, y'all niggas on the East Coast got nothing but criticism and disrespect. And they go in hard here. We're going to play a little clip for you. One of our favorite bars in the song. One of many. But here's a little clip from that, and we'll get back to ya.
It's the hustler, cat pillar, dusty ass New York critic killer. Lover the pump of the motherfucking lead in it just cause ain't none of them niggas ever gave it up for the West, so now it's on it. The gauge in my pants got me limping. Fuck you and I.T. why I'm coast tripping.
Fuck all the critics in the NYC, trying to get an East hip hop monopoly. But I've been writing gangster shit since '83, when y'all was still scared to use profanity.
So one of the first things I notice in that is, well, number one, it's so blatantly towards the East Coast. I mean, they couldn't make it more blatant.
Yeah.
But another thing that's not talked about today nearly as much because we have the internet and coasts don't matter anymore.
Right.
But they felt, and it's very true, that at the time, any magazine, the Source magazine, any outlet that covered hip-hop news was out of the East Coast and had an East Coast bias, which was entirely true at the time. I can't think, the Source out of New York.
Yeah.
Ray Benzino came out of Boston, came to the Source.
That's right.
They are known to be prejudiced towards other people, and the West Coast being at the top of the list. And you hear Ice Cube talking about them having a monopoly, the entire game on lock, no one else gets a voice.
That shit over.
And when I think of Double XL, even though they're based out of New York as well, I definitely think of them as the West Coast or at least alternative voice. Because at the time, Southern hip hop got absolutely no play.
Right.
Nelly, Project Pat, 3 6 Mafia, all that was all underground shit during this time.
Exactly. And that's a nice nod to the Source Awards from '95 as well, when Outkast, famously Andre 3000 of Outkast, said the South got something to say. And as we both know, the South came with a lot of shit to say.
They did. But for now, we'll stick to East Coast for West Coast.
Yep.
The point is that Ice Cube and Westside Connection, the West Coast group at the time, and maybe forever, felt that there was an extreme bias within media, whether it was even talking about an album, good or bad, but particularly in a good way.
Oh, yeah.
Anything like that was all monopolied in the East Coast. which you can hear right here.
Oh yeah, and on top of that, like, you know, just like you and I mentioned even prior to starting today, like, they're talking about all the critics. They're not necessarily honing in on one. They're honing in on all critics and any potential critics. One line I thought was personally interesting was a person who doesn't really get dissed often that Dub C mentions. Queen Latifah, out of all people.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
All people, Queen Latifah.
With the fuck you and ITY, I was like, even Queen Latifah got this?
Referencing her lyrics, yeah.
Yeah, her song, Unity, UNITY, Queen Latifah's song.
I think that a lot of that has to do with when you're just truly fuck it and fuck everyone.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Including the people who don't matter. You know, at least as far as it's concerned with beef.
Right.
And rap beef. She ain't no rapper. She's not on no rap beef shit.
Yeah, no, she's on peaceful shit.
This is 96. So, I think for us and, you know, our discussion, when you get to the West Coast, East Coast stuff, the beef and diss tracks,
yeah,
it really kind of deadens at 96, 97 because Pac dies and Biggie dies.
Yeah. And
everyone seemed to be kind of hands off and no more dead people in our camp, your camp, you know.
Yeah.
It just, like, that's the legacy of it. You know, it exists to this day. There's always going to be East Coast, West Coast. Believe me, we just don't have the interest in mumble rap dissing from East Coast, West Coast.
Not at all.
We're talking about the real shit that, you know, actually sold units, number one.
Exactly.
Number one.
Yep.
Sold units. But number two, people were listening to all of us in between the coasts.
Right.
You know, in Minnesota, Michigan, Illinois, Ohio, you know, down to the South.
Yeah.
So it really takes place over, you know, late 80s to about 96, 97.
Yeah.
And I would say by the time Biggie was killed, which was 97.
Yep, 97.
Bad Boy took a totally different direction, and it wasn't but a year or two after that, Puff Daddy changed his name to P. Diddy to distance himself from the drama.
Yeah, that wasn't until about 2001-ish, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was a little bit much later, but...
Not all that long in grand scale of time.
Yeah, not that long. But it was interesting that, in terms of how it kind of, like, ended peacefully, I guess, what was it? Like, Louis Farrakhan, out of all people, had, like, a peace meeting in 97, a few weeks
of all
after...
people was the right word.
Yeah. Shortly after Biggie died in 97, and, you know, Puff and Snoop were there, and they were pretty much like, we gotta end this thing, we gotta make peace, we've lost two of our biggest artists, we gotta make peace, and that was pretty much how the shit was squashed.
Yeah, and, you know, like I was saying, you still have East Coast, West Coast drama to this day.
Oh, yeah,
but no one takes the Game versus Tekashi 6ix9ine or whatever remotely seriously.
Yeah,
and the stuff we're talking about was at the top of the charts.
Yeah.
We're mentioning songs that were at the top of the charts.
Yeah.
Or coveted in the hip-hop community as a whole, then and today.
Then, now, and forever.
Right. No one's going to care about a 2012 diss track by Little Poopy Poopy out of Brooklyn.
Exactly.
No one cares about a diss track coming from Big Dookie Dookie out of Compton from 2012.
Yeah.
This is where it's at, is the late 80s to about 96, 97. Like you said, 97, I guess.
Yeah, 97, yeah.
And it really left quite a mark in hip-hop because it gives us songs that we can listen to today, and they're still funny. Some of them maybe we shouldn't laugh at because the people that are involved are dead.
Right.
But honestly, half the people who made them are dead as well, and they probably want people to be laughing.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's the way I see it.
Yeah.
In the end, though, I think I have to give, and remember this is totally subjective like all of music, as far as the shots back and forth, who won the battle on the mic, on the microphone, I have to give it to the West Coast by a slight bit.
You know, I'm torn because obviously West Coast, you know, they came with plenty to say, but I think ironically why I would give it to the East is because of the controversy around one specific song that we'll probably even throw a clip in, just a bonus clip, Notorious B.I.G's Long Kiss Goodnight, where it was released on his Life After Death album, which ironically came out after he died.
It's a posthumous record.
Yes. And it's claims that it's
really,
dissing Tupac.
Do you really think that's enough though to push it all the way over in East wins?
I'd say by a hair.
But then I have hit him up for you, right? I think you know, I hear you. I hear you. But it's not who gets the last word. You know, that's not how, at least to me. But the point is that both do have digging.
Oh yeah, both. Yeah, we can definitely agree on that.
And in different ways.
Oh,
East Coast is very funny and hard in how they do it, and the West Coast is funny and hard in the way they do it. Yeah. I don't like to count posthumous things because I don't think the dead can speak. You know, as far as beef.
That's a good point.
As far as beef.
Yeah, no, that's a very fair point.
I'm strictly talking about the diss tracks that are specific, that we've listed and shown, that are at another's coast, or at least a staple of each other's coast.
Right, while alive.
Right.
Yeah, okay. I can get what you're there.
And then I'm sure there's Tupac songs that are posthumous that have Biggie digs or what.
Oh, you know. There's a couple we didn't even get to that are.
Right, and again, remember in this video, we're not covering every single East Coast versus West Coast diss track.
Because we had some, but we can't cover them all.
Yeah, we can't. But these are some of our favorites, and we think they're all worth listening. Listening to individually, separately, together, all of that, and they're entertaining.
Oh, yeah.
So, of course, it's all subjective. Like we said, you know, which one you... And for me, I might go different on a different day.
Right.
You know?
No, I feel you too. I probably would do the same.
I might prefer the East Coast diss tracks and be like, man, they really won this beef on Tuesday.
Right. And
by Thursday, Friday, you know, hit them up, what y'all talking about, you know, fuck you, bitch. You know, they're all entertaining. All the ones, we'll put them in the description, a link to each one of the tracks.
As well as some of our honorable mentions.
Yeah, as well as some of our honorable mentions. We'll put in every one of the tracks, and, you know, you guys let us know what you think. Overall, who won, East Coast or West Coast? From the period of the late 80s to about 1997. Who wins that war that was waged back and forth, back and forth, back and forth? Who wins that? You let us know.
West Side or East Side?
West Side or East Side. And that's episode 4. You can catch us in a couple days for episode 5. And we'll see you later. Whoop, whoop.
Whoop, whoop.
Peace.
I want my spot back, take 2. Motherfuckers mad cause I blew, niggas envious. Too many niggas on my dick, shit strenuous. When my men bust, you just move with such stamina. Slugs missed ya, I ain't mad at ya. We ain't mad at ya.